All right, guys. So we are live. Welcome, everyone. Want to welcome y'all to Let's Hash It Out. Waiting on Johnny Law to step in any moment. But right now we got Steak, Javier, and Clint Westwood. And I'm
I've
Blind
got a
Dave
frozen.
Crypto. Welcome to Let's Hash It Out. So let's hash it out. What we got on tap for today, guys?
Well, we
Steak?
have the U.S. We have a
Absolutely.
lot, but we have the U.S. government interest payment on the federal debt are now higher than the annual defense spending. I thought that one was pretty funny. It's likely the initial stages of a trend, and if no solutions are implemented, the other components of the fiscal agenda may soon be constrained by the escalating cost of debt. So, and there we got Johnny.
Here's Johnny.
Welcome.
Blind Dave, can you turn up Steak a little bit more? I could.
Can you turn up the
Well,
stick?
Am I the only one that barely hears him? Or-
I think so, because we can hear you clearly.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Let's try.
Hello, Johnny. How are you, my brother?
Doing good. How's the audio sound?
Sounds good on your end.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
Beautiful. Any
Yeah.
feedback?
I love the blocks on the background, man. Really digging it. Great choice.
Yeah, right now we're broadcasting live on Twitter and on YouTube. Yeah, I got everyone's audio turned up to a decent setting, so we should be good.
Those are some nice specs you got there, Xavier.
Oh, I got them from a crazy man that walks with a stick. I'm actually over here at Blind Dave's. I've cut through from Florida, heading back to Texas, and around. I came in there and saw him on the counter. I said, I look good in anything, so I'm going to put these glasses on.
I'm just trying to get everything
You
set
never
up,
know.
Johnny. Let me get your. Go ahead and say something here.
Yeah. How about now? We feeling good about this
Very
announcement.
good.
27th of 26. Is that right? Go live
for Fed now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Today, yeah. That's interesting. Another little distraction, or is it not, Johnny? What's your thoughts?
No, I mean, it's a more efficient interbank settlement system. It should have always been there, at least for the last 10 years. You know what I mean? They're operating on some COBOL style programming for the last 35, 40 years. So this is an update. So it's a needed update. I'm all for more efficient systems. I think that's what this is.
Do you think there's truly going to be a change, or more of the same here? They're giving us a carrot, kind of to hang on to, and
I mean, it just makes, in those liquidity crisis moments where you might have a bank run that happens again, right? Because it's breakneck speed right now. The speed of information as it moves across all channels. You can have a bank very quickly drained. And so having Fed now like this helps those liquidity crisis moments to be able to kind of keep things moving along. It doesn't mean they're not going to nationalize the banks under the big banks, which is kind of what they're doing.
Let me ask you this, Johnny. Do you really think that? I think I'm the only one that still uses cash, but when we're talking bank runs, I understood it back then. We already know you can't go to the bank and get more than $1,000. It makes sense that people would go there, but I think I don't know. Is the populace aware that that would actually benefit them. Them being so used to credit, not being any change with the credit card system.
I don't know. I would tell you, I got a text from my mom earlier today, and mom, I don't think you're listening, but if you are, like, hi, love mom.
I am.
She asked me,
Oh.
she's like, what do we do? She asked me, she said, is everything going digital? What do we do with cash? And she was talking about cash in her bank accounts. And it's something that, I've talked about with her for, over a decade at this point. And now she starts to see it and go, oh, is this what you mean? And I'm like, I mean, yeah. I mean, this is kind of like one of the first steps to having the treasury become the bank.
It's funny you say that, Johnny, because that's important to me, that someone that isn't playing our game mentioned it. I had someone also out of the blue that I didn't expect ask about. I remember you said something about getting money and having some cash, and it's not about that right now, but the word is out. The curiosity is starting to get out there,
Right.
to where sometimes we don't seem as crazy, or maybe crazier.
I got a few things there. So, like with CBDCs and FedNow and all this, that is the centralized system. So think about what's been going on here. So from 2014, we know for a fact that several other banks and financial institutions have wanted their foot in the door for this, and have been here within crypto, but it hasn't been available to their clients. Now it is. And I think by the FedNow or any other CBDC globally, wherever you are on the globe, I think that they're going to try to do that and make us go from crypto into, FedNow or CBDC, and then we'll be able to. Then they will have an accounting method for us to pay taxes on. I see that as a thing. I think that the decentralized coins of Bitcoin, Litecoin, Digibyte, etc., will be able to transact without having to go through a CBDC. We will if that's how you want to take profit and take cash out. What you were saying, though, about the cash, there will be a time, sort of like what India has done, China's done it too, where they revalue their currency. And think about it, right? So breaker just flipped. Oh, no, wait. No, it's beeping. The water level just filled up on the dehumidifier.
Yeah. I know that sound.
So, all right. So anyway, the thing is that think of it as like the intermediary of what they want us to use. So that way they have an accounting method for us to pay taxes. But we will. It's very centralized. My honest opinion is they're going to mess up twice. This cycle, as well as we're going to have another bull cycle, I think, in 2029. 4-year cycles, but it's mighty funny how things tend to play into those 4-year cycles at this point. From others claiming that anyone within Bitcoin they would fire. Meanwhile, their sister company on the other side of the globe is purchasing. But there's a lot more there that's going to be from CBDCs and FedNow.
Let me ask you this, Dave. So do you think that the government's going to give a dog a bone? There's got to be heroes. The crazy guy that goes buys a Lambo, and the guy that.
Well, also envision this, right? So we're primed and ready for the next crypto bull run. I mean, we are. I called it in November to February. However, when the numbers do come back and do come in, this Fed now and all, they'll be able to monitor us a little closer. And darn it, there was something
Yeah.
important there I wanted to say.
I mean, don't you think that
In
that
regards
they would
to tax
come up and go?
Well, also,
Oh,
we
sorry.
have 87,000 IRS agents coming online. Think of how many phone calls that is that each of those agents will be able to make. So by not paying taxes or claiming I'm not going to pay taxes, even though you move through Fed now or even before, the IRS can go back 7 years. And if they find any discrepancies, then they can go back even further. So by not paying taxes, I would caution everyone. And, look, I understand that, crypto, that was the antithesis of why we began in crypto, was to escape the system, right? But with these agents coming online and those of us moving funds and some people not paying taxes, they want their cut. So they got 87,000 new agents, but also think of this. Think of this. That's $7 trillion that the United States printed. That money the velocity of money has not yet hit. When the velocity
100%.
of money hits, then you will see everything, even the grocery store. You'll see inflation like we haven't seen before.
And for that velocity of money to hit, they need to throw a dog a bone because they want the adoption. Whether into other coins, they have the narrative. They've got the media to push it in the direction that they want. And they also have the benefits to where if you're using their coin, well, fuck, they'll throw you another 10% off. You start throwing dog bones, and the adoption starts very quickly. People want to learn. If I have to learn going to a certain store, I get 10% off using a certain thing. Even if I don't know it, I'm going to go over, hey, show me how to do this, because I go there quite often. How do they get people hooked on drugs? They give it to you at the beginning. And it's not like they're not printing money already.
Correct. And to your other point, the way that it's going to work, okay, just similar to the internet. Most people can't tell you how the internet works. They don't care how it works, just that it does. No. Well, it's going to be the exact same way for a lot of new people in crypto. They're not going to care how it works, just that it does. And same thing, like my mother, she's, 80, I'll leave that alone. And, whereas she swipes her card and it'll just go through. So, she doesn't care if it's, with JP Morgan. She doesn't care if it's Bank of America. She doesn't care who it's. She doesn't care if it's blockchain, if it's Fed now. She doesn't care. She doesn't understand DLT or distributed ledger technology, which is what we're all involved in. And it's the importance. It's that importance to where, the average person is not even going to care how this all works and functions, just that it does. That's it.
But you know what our age group does notice? If we've got value to our dollar. So if we get a coupon, if we get a discount, we take advantage of it. And so and I don't know if the new generation does find it on the internet.
If it's
but
free,
we are looking for that easy.
If it's free,
exactly. And so, and to me, I think that for me to adopt anything, for my father to adopt anything, for my generation, make it stupid simple, and we're not going to ask any questions. And on top of that, we already know what's going on and how much money we're sending outside the United States. We are sending a lot of money out. So at what expense? Maybe not even at our expense, because they're still printing it, and they're still taxing us. And I don't understand why they even tax us if they could print as much as they want. But you have a bone by going, now you've got an extra $500 or whatever in your wallet, and take advantage of the illusion of that free money, because it is an illusion that they're giving you something that they're already giving to somebody else. It's not even a U.S.
Yeah.
Come on,
Well,
Johnny. I know you got something percolating in there. Or Westwood.
I would just say, I think everyone and what you've stated is absolutely spot on. I think ultimately, CBDC will come down regardless of how much we talk about it through kind of
Yeah.
like UBI, right? So it'll be universal basic income. It'll be kind of packaged together. I think that's really easy to sell after we see some economic distress and hardship, and people have a hard time paying for basic necessities, which is really sad.
Yes.
That is
Terrible.
a tactic people would take to put people in a position of suffering in order to make a decision that could potentially, bring them out of some of that suffering without necessarily recognizing that it could potentially put them in an even more challenging situation 10 years, 20 years down the line. And
Mm-hmm.
I think we saw that play out, just a couple years ago, right? And so I think it's the same sort of strategy. It will sound really good. It will be virtuous. It will be efficient.
Yes.
It will alleviate suffering and pain. Here's this great thing: money's free because of technology. We can now give everyone a basic income without necessarily stating some of the shadow side of what's possible in that scenario.
I agree with you,
We're
Johnny.
going to have to
And
do it, though, right? We're going to be forced into a problem, reaction, solution, because it's going to be, well, AI took everybody's jobs. Technology took everybody's jobs. Well, with this great technology, look, you get a bunch of CBDCs every month, and then all the bad attachments to it, programmable.
But I don't know if it was you that said this, Clint, or Cliff, or I don't know. But for people to change, they've got to go through the pain. If you don't go through pain and everything's the same, Clint, what are you going to change?
Well, that's it. We like a normal.
You and that cigar, Yeah, you start coughing up a lung, and
exactly.
And you may consider not smoking cigars.
Mm-hmm.
But until that point comes, I'm the same way with food. I hit a certain weight and I go, hey, I got to slow down. I'm going to go back to eating a lot of food, but I'm going to get on a little diet just so I can eat my food and feel comfortable. The pain is motivates, and I don't know if motivate people. Johnny, please understand that I understand that it will be terrible for a lot of people, but that's how they get us to change. And historically speaking, the Great Depression, the grapes of wrath. If anybody, I suggest they watch that show, because if we are in a cyclical cycle of they are going to make us change. Period. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, respectfully, I can see it happening, but I also can see the solution coming quicker because of the digital innovation. It's let me just lay out something that the Netherlands did with the prototype testing of the digital ID and the CBDC here. You look at your smartphone, you get a prompt, a notification that says update your bank app, and you click on it and you update it, and voila, you're onboarded. Now, before you open the app says, well, we can't really let you have a connection to your bank account just yet. We've got some new cool features. Could you kindly make a video of your face, look to the left and look to the right, and please, if you can and be so kind, put your passport next to the NFC chip at the back of your phone so we can also register you, KYC, your customer. So people do that because they have to be part of have to have connection to their bank account, and then all of a sudden they can log in and they check their account, everything's there, balance is the same, still the same dollar or euro sign in front of it, or pound, or wherever you're from, or yen. But on the back end, everything changed into a digital system. Everything is different, but to you it looks like it's the same. And now you got some cool features, right? You can switch your pension fund money maybe a little bit more to the future. Maybe you can already claim it. Oh, that's fun! I can play with my pension fund. No one knows that it's gone. Everyone's pension fund is gone anyway, so yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just a stimulus check, so everyone just wipes it to the front and says, "Yeah, okay, I'll get it." And then you got maybe what Johnny said with the universal basic income. I fully agree there. It's a stimulus check because you want to keep people alive, you want to keep them floated, but you don't have to look at 1930 where people were jumping out of windows because they thought, oh, they might still do that figuratively, but you can get money a lot quicker because it is digital. Everyone has a cell phone, right? And if you can't pay in the grocery store, then you kind of I got to go and do some shopping at Walmart. Fucking video. Oh, we have to do video today. What the fuck's this video? And it's trending for a day on Twitter, and everyone's like, oh, I got to do a fucking video. And how's your face looking? Yeah, it's fucking horrible. Now I've got this video stuck to my bank account. And everyone's doing that for a day, and all of a sudden it's done. We don't talk about it. And we're here explaining, yeah, you just did a KYC. A KYC, I don't care. I just need my bank account, man. What the fuck's a KYC? Just give me a KFC. Ha ha ha. And then, that'll be that.
Yeah.
That was Wally, right?
Yeah.
And a quick question to you, Steak. How do you equalize the playing field from the wealth that we have here in the United States to, I don't know, the people in India, the people in Sri Lanka, the people in Africa, the people in... I'm trying to see it. We can't say USA stays the same and making the same kind of income, yet the rest of the world, because as soon as I'm going,
it's very simple.
Broke,
it's very simple.
A place
it's very
where
simple out here.
Go ahead.
If some countries in the world no longer wants to buy your debt because they don't believe in it anymore, and that's happening a little bit, then you got to have debt amongst yourselves. And what's that, Dave? What are you showing?
Okay, look right above where it says sign in. Chase now has used token. JP Morgan token. Remember
now
that?
it's on black. Now it's your screen down a little bit, but
is it an ID token? What kind of token are we talking about? Do we know yet?
JPM coin, JPM token.
So
so now it's even on the app.
But in regards to if foreign countries no longer buy your debt, only a few of them, but not all of them, because BRICS doesn't want to do that anymore. Then you got to have an internal debt market because you got to keep the economy afloat. We don't want to lose the reserve currency status. So you're going to get a little bit more of spending to maybe actual spending to your middle class. That also pushes innovation again. And you see it happening already with the infrastructure bill, with the CHIPS Act, that certain production is coming back to the U.S. Manufacturing jobs are coming back to the U.S. It's not just a service economy anymore, but it's like only a production manufacturing economy in regards to the digital infrastructure and maybe AI and semiconductors. You see that happening already. So you're just building up your own internal market again, and you might have a little bit richer, lower and middle class eventually because they own all the companies anyway, so they can just do whatever the fuck they want with it. And then the whole cycle starts again. So it's just... Does
the U.S. have the GDP, the gross domestic product?
They do.
To continue this? I mean...
Yeah, the U.S. actually has the best cards on the table worldwide because the rest is doing much shittier.
Well, for $1 GDP output, you need $8 input within the United States. That's not sustainable.
That's what I'm afraid of. Where are the jobs?
Yeah, it's not sustainable. Here's a funny one. 2 days ago, BlackRock named Saudi Aramco CEO to the board. So they're incorporating the oil in the Middle East. They're cutting a deal. They're basically saying, you want that petrol you want? Well, yeah, let's just put you on board on the biggest financial asset management institution out there. So that was 2 days ago. So it's just the U.S. is playing ball,
My question to you is,
Sorry,
we have the chips. We're making the chips. We are making the chips here. Why aren't we going to ship them off to some other country that's going to do it for a lot less? And I keep going back to it because
you wanted to do that with Bretton Woods too with China, and they abused that because they stole a bunch of shit with IP theft. So now the U.S. is saying, you know what, with those semiconductors, they're too good for you. You're not going to get them.
Well, that's what we've been doing, though, hasn't it? We've outsourced all the inflation to China and built them up. I mean, that's what we've been doing for how long? And so
yeah, but that's an
kinda get
end. I think we're in Bretton Woods 3 now.
Yeah, you get to a point now. Let's take this. Let's take this thing here. Okay, so let's say the U.S. goes rogue. You know, it becomes completely nationalistic for whatever reason, leadership changes, whatever it is, and they say, "Hey, we got Fed now. We got the U.S. CBDC, whatever it is, and we're going to make sure domestically, you know, they'll inflate the hell out of it. I mean, they'll do whatever they have to do at that point. But if you've got natural resources that can sustain at least, you know, to a comfortable level or semi-comfortable level internally, and you don't necessarily, you might have some partners in Europe and a few other players, not the BRICS partners. Let's say you just go the other way. If the U.S. can produce enough energy and revitalize itself, can it stand alone in that environment? Because, you know, most people, they're like, hey, man, I'm making $1,000 a week. Well, hey, now you're making $1,500 a week. And so you keep outpacing or trying to keep up with the inflation you're creating internally. But are you not to keep the wheels turning? How much longer? I mean, can they do it another 20 years, 30 years?
Clint, I think
maybe.
You know,
I'm sorry. Just one quick thing. Are we nationalizing the jobs, and then can anybody else in the world buy our stuff? If those jobs have to stay here, have to be done by a U.S. citizen, the rest of the world cannot afford. People in India can't afford anything that we make because of the price that we have to put because of our wages. Somehow we need to equalize this. If you don't, then we cannot produce anything because we are too expensive. If we nationalize the jobs, in other words, we're going to have these things here. Who can afford? Who can afford it? Am I saying something wrong, Johnny? Because I need someone to.
Look no further than the Titanic with the steel that was imported from China. It wasn't made with American steel. It was made with.
That was convenient right before 1913, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Anyway, Johnny, go ahead,
before
man.
1913, and the people who were on that ship.
Johnny's got his hand in the triangle, so he's going to cook up something great.
He's ready. Give it to us, Johnny.
I'm going to give you a far out there, right? So something that you said earlier, Steak. I guess it's counter to me because I don't know that the U.S. has the U.S.'s national interests in mind any longer. Like, I just don't feel that way as an American citizen that the U.S. has like national interests, like national sovereignty. Like, we're going to have our own sort of culture and we're going to stand for freedom and the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights. I think all that's out the window. So when we say what the U.S. is working on here in the U.S., I don't really think from my perspective that Washington, D.C. represents most of America. So Washington, D.C. and our government works for Washington, D.C., right? Yeah. And at this point, I feel like this East-West sort of narrative is kind of like controlled opposition, right?
Don't go away, Johnny. Don't.
It's a story for everybody to connect to. And what is real is the erosion of individual freedoms across the globe.
I agree.
And the centralization of power across the globe.
I agree, but Johnny, it's worse here than in the U.S.
I've no doubt, man.
I mean, they're trying to get us to keep up, though. They're trying to get us to that point. I mean, I think that's where you're going at with it, Johnny. I mean,
I fully agree. I fully agree, but it's kind of obvious, right? The old system is coming to an end by printing money and exporting inflation and leveraging that over other countries as a form of, control. That's coming to an end. And now you see that something else has to come into place of it. I also don't subscribe to the idea that there will be a US CBDC. I actually think, but this is my own personal conjecture, I think that there is a transatlantic agreement there. I think there are going to be interoperable systems between the NATO countries, specifically the European Union, Japan, England, Switzerland, the US and Canada. That seems to be the main players that want to work together and maybe create a digital coin that's for all those countries. That's what it looks like right now by kind of, interlinking everyone's economy with one another,
XRP.
making it
Yeah.
more. Yeah, possibly. I've got a tangent on that, and
I
maybe I'll
mean, on
share
the
it. Maybe
ledger,
I won't.
anyways. I'm not saying it itself, but on that ledger, anyways.
Yeah, but at least the concept, yeah. And yeah, I agree there, and I think that that's the actual future that will make it more resilient. And when you say, Johnny, the U.S. Government, the Washington is doing it for Washington, yeah, no shit, same here, man. I mean, there's a rule by decree. We're not living in a democracy, at least I'm not feeling it. And they're doing what they want to do because the interest is too high. The stakes are too high, no pun intended. But it's just they don't want to be a grassroots movement where they say, oh, we're going to give this to the middle class to innovate the shit out of this problem. No, no, no. We've already solved it on a NATO G7, G20 basis, and we're just going to roll it down waterfall style from the top to the
That's right.
bottom, and you're just going to roll with it. And I think that's the
They're going to try.
fair assessment. And at the end of the day, the dollar is backed by guns, but Bitcoin isn't. And then you got to ask yourself, like, where do we position ourselves in this market? Where do we? I'm not married to my bags. I am an idealist, if it's possible. I like to see a better future, but I'm really wondering what the right moves are. Occasionally, I'm
The strongest
doubting.
community, maybe?
Here's the good thing.
Yeah, give me the good thing, Johnny.
Like
I'm ready.
technology advancing to
You can
empower.
abuse that sound quote whenever you want.
Like technology is advancing to empower individualism and individuals working together across state lines, across nation lines, really for the first time in history, right? So
Mhm.
I think there's an opportunity for us to connect in a different way and to work together in a different way than there ever has been before.
I agree. But China doesn't seem to think so. They seem to think that the people are supportive of the government and the government shouldn't be there for the individual, which is completely opposed to what we have as a sense of morality in the West, where we say, well, the individual's life is important and we don't sacrifice people for the whole. We want to save every life possible if you dial it down to the root of the argument.
I mean,
And
that's what
and
they say,
yeah, it's also what they
but
kind
what
of
they
do.
do is different. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, fair point. I think it's an interesting topic. Earlier today I saw a news article by Nigeria Bank that is doing the e-naira. That's the digital Nigerian fiat currency, and they already have it operationable. And they admitted today that they have programmability in it, and that it's going to be with your NFT. So that's the first government that actually outright stated it. Yeah, we're going to program the shit out of this. So all
Oh,
those conspiracy or coincidence theorists that said that years ago, they're actually admitting it now again. So it's not that far fetched, right?
Steak, we talked a long time ago about the Liechtenstein protocol.
Liechtenstein, yeah.
There we go. Thank you.
This is an
Um,
English stream, right? Or
yeah.
zullen we nog
That's
af Duits
the
spreken,
blueprint.
Johnny? Or that was.
That's the blueprint for all of it, man. That's like the most perfect CBDC coin ever envisioned is if it follows that protocol.
Yeah, do you ever want to go into a rabbit hole with me on that? I'm up for it.
Brother, I'm all about it. It's been fun to watch the partnerships between the Crown Prince and and Liechtenstein. I'm gonna get it right eventually.
Oh, it's a
But
stain, all right.
yeah,
Please go into it, guys. I mean, I'm all ears, please. Seems interesting to me.
Well,
Or a little bit. Give us
hey,
some bait.
what's Liechtenstein's export Steak?
oh, you're gonna give it to me. Such a great assist.
I can guess.
Such a great assist. Liechtenstein is a small city-state, a dukedom, if you want to put the English term on it, between Switzerland and Austria, and uh, it has its own national laws. However, next to being part of the European financial system, they have a very interesting business deal that's one of a kind. in the fact that they're also able to tap into the Swiss financial system, which is, of course, as we all know, a standalone, maybe not so neutral anymore system of banking and finance, but it used to be the gold standard for decades. And that makes it very interesting because it means that it can tie EU finance and Swiss finance together. So that's one. And then you have a financial exchange in Liechtenstein called LCX, and LCX is a member, basically the only exchange now, because FTX is no longer there, but it's the only exchange that partnered with the WEF. They were founded in 2018, and a month later they were on their website. You know, it's funny how quick you can get your business operational in 30 days. We all been there, that you just open up the yellow pages, for those of you that still know what that is, and you just make a few calls and all of a sudden you're there. You know, that's how easy business goes in life, especially in a month. And then you have all these big contracts that they do, and then the whole idiocracy in there is that they have created a compliance system, basically a set of rules, a set of laws that they call the Liechtenstein blockchain laws and the Liechtenstein protocol, and it's basically even more severe and strict than the EU MiCA regulation is. And it was actually created prior to it. That's funny with the timeline too. So if you want to register with LCX, it's like you register for, it's even a harder registration than registering for a mortgage. So you have to, do the full KYC, anti-money laundering, but you have to state your occupation. You have to state how much money you make, how much money you left at the end of the month for leisure, how much you spend on every leisure. You have to really, you're fully naked with your entire finances. It's unlike anything I've ever seen when you register for something. It's mind-boggling. But anyway, you get approved eventually. And there's this whole notoriety system behind it where they say, well, we're gonna do things the good way, the right way. And they're like a system that's like a hyper super compliant. Like if you meet their gold standard, then you meet everyone's standard globally. And with that, they created a few tokens. And those tokens tie into projects that we know, and they're an interesting bunch. I can go on an even bigger rabbit hole there, but maybe I should just leave there. It's a very interesting prospect. They're also part of an SEC lawsuit, by the way, SEC versus Wahi, that got settled 5 weeks ago. No one talked about it, of course, because it's just an SEC lawsuit. But apparently, they're a registered exchange now, with a security token, but that's out of the window now too with the XRP court case. So they're actually the only registered exchange in the US now that no one talks about, which I think is weird. And they're the only one that are globally compliant, because they're the only one that are legally operating in the US. So it's just stuff like that no one is talking about, that just boggles my mind. I mean, everyone saw those tokens listed by the SEC. 50 tokens were security, but all the tokens from the Wahi court case weren't on it because they were Ethereum. And of course, Ethereum is kind of a hot topic with the politicians. It's like the play ball between the CFTC and the SEC. Is it a commodity? Is it a security? Might be a utility, but we don't have the legislation in the US. And that whole element is playing out there. And it's just, if you look at what these people do in real life, if you look at their LinkedIn, if you look at their Twitter, if you look at their travel plans and who they're meeting with, then you can just see that, stuff is happening behind the scenes. Stuff is being done, stuff is being agreed upon. 6 months later, there's suddenly an okay or an accord that they did, but they already kind of sneakily announced. And I like to go into rabbit holes like that for a long time now. But there are a lot of big fish to fry there, and it's I want to stay with facts instead of conjecture. But
for breaking that down,
there's so much to unpack, and I have to lay that out at some point.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you breaking it down, and there will be questions on that in the future. I just have to. I mean, there's so much stuff that you've said right there that was impressive, but
Watch
it almost
what
feels
they
like we're behind information. Go
watch
ahead,
what
Jim.
they do, not what they say.
Oh,
100%.
okay. Watch what they. Good. That's a very good.
Like
Watch what they do, not
everybody
what they say.
picking up their
Go ahead,
business and
John.
moving to the UAE, you know,
Yeah.
and then blaming lack of regulatory clarity as kind of like their scapegoat, when all along that was going to happen. You know, that started
Yeah.
really probably 2019. This
Yeah.
this what I call moving financial center away from Wall Street and to Dubai. That started
Yeah.
4 years ago, and all of these exchanges and these leaders like to pretend as though it's lack of regulatory clarity or lack of ability to compete fairly that's causing them to move there. And to some extent, I understand, but I think that's just a story. In fact, I know that's just a
Very
story.
good, Jim. Well, and I agree with you, Johnny, on that part. When 17, I just got into it, and they had the Bitcoin convention. How much has changed? And I don't want to say corporate, but I'm going to. It's not the same Bitcoin that we all were into or moved into at that time. It's unrecognizable. If the Bitcoin people from that time, without knowing anything, they would have gone, that's it, I'm out. I'm out of Bitcoin right now. And I don't know if I'm explaining that correctly, but the concerts, the boats, and I'm saying that on purpose because I hope it at least gets out to some of the Bitcoin and going, you know, there's nobody here to sheriff yourself. I don't know what the word is, or to monitor yourself. You need to be the one that realizes, are we moving too far into this? Are they starting to buy us? I'm sorry, but I'm going to say, are they starting to buy some of the influencers? And I know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
It's not the same Bitcoin.
Everybody was on the take for like 6 years probably.
Yeah,
Whether
it's getting worse. Right now, I'm sorry. Go ahead, John.
Undisclosed, like when do they even get to all of, like, you know, the Bitcoin bins of the world, like not Bitcoin Ben, sorry, but the Ben Armstrongs of the world, BitBoy. I apologize, Bitcoin Ben. You know, when do they get to those folks? Like, that would be the most interesting part of this next phase of crypto regulation, when you start looking at, because all that stuff on chain will be provable as to like who was on the take and promoting ICOs along the way.
Seriously though, I doubt it. Have you seen how soft they handled Gary Gensler today? You know,
No,
with
I
those
didn't.
softball questions, just to, you know, why didn't you do anything about FTX? And, you know, that was like a hot 3 or 4 minutes, and that was it. You know, show must go on. It's going too fast.
It was buying them lunch and blowing kisses and shit in Congress.
Yeah.
No, but I
Won't it
fully
be
agree with the
obvious?
sentiment Johnny's stating. I fully agree with it, Dave.
Yeah.
I don't want to dismiss it, but it's just it's kind of tiring, right? If you stay in this space long enough, you see the angles, but then you see it happening and playing out on the highest level, and you're like, yeah, you don't have my back. You're way underfunded, or you're way too corrupt, or you don't want to. I don't know. Show must go on. You got no time. I don't care. But, you know, if they're not even going to tackle FTX, if they're not even going to grill Gary Gensler for FTX, why would they go? Why would they go be after those influencers we just mentioned, or even Tether? You know, why we weren't even hearing anything about that? You know, what's happening
Campaign
with
contributions. How are you going to line my pocket? Campaign contributions.
You want me to put up my tinfoil hat? I know.
Go ahead.
I actually really think that Tether is nothing else than BlackRock. It's just an experiment for a very long time now to just see when to pump in the market and also have a depth switch on it when they want to buy low.
Did you say Block One or BlackRock?
BlackRock. No, BlackRock. Okay. You know, that would make the most sense to me if all those exchanges were just owned by the bankers from the beginning. I see you. Yeah, I know it's a big mind fuck, Johnny. But that would be the
Well,
easiest, elegant solution.
yeah, but I've seen no evidence, I guess, in that line. More is what I would say.
Well,
I
look at
would
who the
say I've
parents
seen.
are of Sam Bankman-Fried. Look at that. They taught
Oh
that
yeah, no,
tax attorney law.
FTX was 100%. FTX was 100%
All that shit's
uh,
planted, man.
plant.
No,
But I would tell you this: it was not. It was never part of the in club, if you will. It was never part of the CZs of the world,
oh,
the
Donnie.
Jesse Powells of the world. It
Why are you
was
saying that? Because I
100%.
thought
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
evidence that they were of the
They
same
what?
messaging group.
Yeah, they use bigger artists. They use football stadiums. They
No, 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 no,
used
no, Javier,
the
Javier,
biggest
Javier.
names. Maybe I misunderstood.
No, no, no. But to my knowledge, Sam Bankman-Fried was in the same chat groups as CZ.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not.
my question
I
on
don't
that is
disagree.
how in the hell does this guy
And
get to that position and doesn't know not one lick of code, not even DOS, not Python, nothing.
No.
And
Well,
you don't
just
just get to
real
that
quick.
position. You don't just get to that
And
position.
at that point, Dave, if they're not in jail, has the game really changed? I mean,
Well,
you got to break it down to
why
the
is the guy
simplest
of
one.
Mount Gox still running freely?
In jail or a
Exactly.
slap on the wrist?
Yeah,
I
no,
mean, 'cause
they get to run around and stay at home. Yet
because
if
it's
Johnny
Jesse
goes and
Taylor
does a simple crime, he goes to
Sorry, Johnny.
jail. These people steal millions and billions, and for us, for the few people, we have to start seeing consequences, or we're playing a high stake game of. We're in Las Vegas playing a high stake game right now. I mean, tell me I'm wrong.
No, I
They
think
have
Johnny
the
has something
money
on his
to
I
mind,
would
but I
move.
kind
say
of want to hear what do you make of it, Clint?
Well, I'm just curious. Maybe this is a question. This is a question for the group. I mean, the FTX thing. You got to look at. See, and here's the thing. The girlfriend was just washed under, and we don't even talk about her anymore. And you look at her connections in the family and how it connects back to the same old players. And then I can't remember her name anymore, but I can remember her face. Sam Bankman-Fried's girlfriend. I mean, who is that? And then how do these people get put in these positions? They're front people, obviously. Somebody had set this whole thing up, and they
yeah.
Let me
needed people out
let me
there
let me
in
tell
the
you.
front.
Look,
But look
go
at the
ahead.
connections there, and then I guess here's my thing. I'm just curious. Let's throw this out there. FTX and a lot of these other exchanges that went down, I don't know, it may have been a different circumstance, but FTX specifically, was that nothing more than just a crypto grab from the people? I mean, because they didn't have it.
No,
I mean, it was just
I agree with you, Clint.
Was that just a
But
grab because they know they can't go out and just take the Bitcoin? They can't take the Litecoin and the cryptos. Was that just a way to kind of
I'm gonna
honeypot them in there and then
I'm
take
gonna
it? Mount Gox, the same thing. I mean, I
Quadriga.
don't know. Is that what these things are for? To just go out there
I'm
and
gonna
get
take
more
it back to
crypto 'cause
Johnny.
They can't just go steal it outright. Just throwing it
I'm
out
going to
there.
take it back to Johnny. For us to realize this, there has to be pain. Because I'm going to tell you this. Right now, we know this. Johnny knows this. Y'all both have families. But once your family starts suffering because there isn't enough food in the refrigerator, once you get
Javier,
to work because the gas is too expensive, that's
Javier,
when you start going, I'm ready to fight.
Well, that's
Till
why I live in
then,
the city, brother. That's why I'm
no,
out
no,
here.
that's what I'm saying.
Because I'm kind of
Once we
front
get
on
to
it. I
that
see it
point,
coming.
Javier,
yeah, we're seeing it, but we're not in pain yet.
I
Not
don't really
enough,
think
or else we'll
I don't
change.
really I don't really think it's about pain. I think it's more about control. I think they want to control the supply, and if you have ownership of the exchanges where most people don't have, self custody, or they're unaware of self custody, and they just want
I
to go
disagree.
after that, and they just want to go. There's a limited supply of this shit, and if it's not going to go
Yes,
anywhere, you want to own it. So if an exchange has a lot of Bitcoin and the exchange goes tits up and they can buy the exchange for cheap, then you will get reimbursed as a retail investor in fiat up to 100,000, but that's it. And you won't be reimbursed
I
in the
dis-
coins because the coins are from the exchange. That's what the actual law says. If you look at the library court case, and the Dragon Chain court case, then the SEC and the judges made it pretty clear that the coins are actually for the exchange itself, but you're going to get reimbursed in fiat, and that's okay. So
it's like cash in the bank. You think you put it in there and have it, but then they say, "Oh, here's your CBD."
Yeah.
exactly, you have an IOU, but that's it.
let's go further than that. And I disagree with you 100%, Steak, and I'm going to tell you why.
Well, you're disagreeing with the U.S. judge.
Most of the market is OTC. Really, we're making that much of a change. The little bit that we hold, that Clint holds, that Johnny holds, that Blind Dave holds, is that really the market that's changing it? I mean, when you're saying how much the exchange holds,
Are you assuming the size of my
how much
wallet?
do they truly hold? Well, I don't know. I don't know that, but I am able to think that from what Dave is telling me and what Johnny gives us on his numbers, I don't understand it, but I understand that there is a market that we are in, which is chump change, and then there's a market that they are in. And so for me to go, are you really talking about exchanges? Can we really pull off enough money to
Javier,
get out?
let me ask you a question. You're an asset manager for a Fortune 500 company, and you're asked to say, well, get me 1% of the assets into Bitcoin. And the law basically says, well, we got to know, or at least your boss says, whether we're compliant or not, because we want to know if we're having liabilities as a big company. Are we infringing on patents or IP? Is this okay for us to hold as a company? They don't know. And then there's the question with the fact that are those big enterprises that you mentioned not retailers? Are they having cold storage? Are all of them following the rules really well? And then there's the fact of how much Bitcoin can actually still be touched. I mean, how many were lost over the years? Is there actually 21 million Bitcoin, or is like half of it lost in time? We don't know. So, it's just for me, it's
I agree.
fair
I
to
mean,
say that if the exchanges go and the exchanges are eventually non-compliant or compliant and they get bought up, then the financial asset managers, the big guys, they'll probably own them.
and Steak, I agree with you, and we're playing the same game. Here's where
Of course
I
we
think
are.
the importance of our community is very important, because if you have a huge community and we're willing to go peer, why not? Why if Johnny will sell me something peer to peer and I can buy something from Clint, then as small as it is, that and let me give it a bad name, it goes into the black market, but it's truly the right market, the fair market, because we're putting it enough faith in our community that the value comes from that. Will that grow? I don't know. Seashells didn't, tulips didn't, but this is actually a game where something doesn't rot. It is a numerical game, from what I understand. I hope I'm saying the right words, that can't be fooled with.
Yeah, but Javier,
you can't really compare
this. You can't really compare this to seashells or tulips, even though I understand your point of the argument that you want to try to convey. But this is the most soundest money that's ever been created.
I agree.
It solves the double
But
spending
only the
problem.
community could do that. Only the community could give that.
The issue within the exchanges comes down to derivatives. Okay, so that's exactly why I only
or the future market.
I only pay attention to what is on chain. The reported market cap is just Binance, just shuffling from one hand to the other. They're reporting all of that in multiple exchanges, and this gets into Johnny's wheelhouse. This is what Johnny does. This is why I want him part of this show, is that he illustrates and shows that it does not go on to the blockchain until it is withdrawn from the exchange. Otherwise, it's just a left hand swapping to the right. That's it.
Give it to us, Johnny.
Hey, one question, Johnny,
Yeah.
on this. I mean, we hear all the time about the Satoshi wallet has 1 million Bitcoin in it. I mean, where is that wallet? I mean, how do we know where that's at? Because if I go and try and look it up, I can't ever find it. You know, and I'm just curious, where are those coins? Who's holding? We don't know who. We can guess, but I mean, where are those coins? I mean, is that
You can go
trackable
back
somewhere?
yeah, you just go to block one
Lay down.
and you start looking where it's mined and where those coins go. And yeah, I can post some addresses.
Yeah, because
for sure.
we see that. So is it in multiple addresses then? And it's just a matter of, okay. Yeah, because there's not one address out there, because that's kind of a misconception I think I want to kind of throw out there that, hey, the Satoshi wallet has 1 million Bitcoin in it. And people say, well, I don't see 1 million. I go to BitInfo charts and I look at the top 10 and there's not 1 million.
I think the narrative is that after like 1 million, Hal started mining. You know Hal Finney, and
Yeah.
that's when he started mining. So that means that everything before him was of Satoshi.
Went
I
somewhere
think
else.
was it block 50 or something? I don't know. I'm speaking from.
Yeah, but now you can go back, and that's the beauty of blockchain, right? You can go back and see what actually happened, and you can't assign a person to it because there's no way to do that, at least until
It moves and does
you
something.
prove that they had control to send a transaction. But I was going to say a couple things, and I got some weird feedback going on. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, you do.
At my ears.
We good now?
Better.
No, still bad. Oh well. Crap.
It's like you're
Keep
talking
talking.
fast.
Keep talking. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't
Man.
know what's going
It
on.
just
Muted.
the audio is sped up a little bit.
It's like the compression
Y'all
just
just need to know
went jacked. So I was
also
going to tell
good.
you exactly what I see with the exchanges.
Also,
There
to
we go.
take everyone back to the old days of Bitcoin, like 2014, right? So it
Let
was
Johnny
said-
finish. Let Johnny.
and he was figuring out his audio, so I was just
Oh,
gonna
okay.
waste a
I'm
little
sorry.
time until he figured it out. But anyway,
Oh, okay.
go
I'm
back
sorry.
to 2014 of Bitcoin, and it was said a few times. It's that I will take possession of my coin, and if you want it in the future, you will have to pay me a lot more for it because I already know what it is I hold.
Yep.
And it's the same
You know
with
the
all the other
numbers.
crypto.
You know the numbers. You know the math.
Well, yeah, you got to pay me a lot more now, right now for it. I mean, it's not for sale, but
So
there's always a price.
let's do the math. I heard Voss. Some of you might know him from the Bitcoin community. I heard Voss about institutional money flowing in, and this is of course long term. And he's well connected in that area because it used to be his profession. And he said, well, it's fair to say that 0.5 to 1%. And he says, let's humor each other, and let's say 0.5% of the money can go in there, or maybe 1% up to maximum 4. And he was saying that's 900 trillion that we're talking about with a T. That's in derivatives that can go in there. And he says if you divide that with 0.5 or 1% or even 4% and then divide that by 21 million Bitcoins, you get an increase in price from 1% for about 450,000. And in 4%, 4 times that, you get about, approximately 1.8 extra on top of it. And, that's the kind of money we're talking about, where the price of Bitcoin could go if institutional investors are fully cleared in putting a Bitcoin ETF out there and where there is regulatory clarity. But I don't think we're going to see that this cycle, as in 2023. I think that's more the narrative for 2025. That's my personal take on it.
The other thing
this-
to keep in mind is we also can account for 5 million Bitcoin that will never come back onto the market.
Yeah, but they won't be burned, right?
No, they're just
Won't
forever
be
lost in a
accessible.
wallet. They're just stored on the blockchain.
They're there. You just can't. You don't have the key to get them. They're just stuck.
Yeah, they're in a landfill.
Isn't that what
Yeah.
quantum computing is going to be all about in the future?
No.
I don't know. I'm just
maybe, but if
That's
anyone,
Gave me an
another
opportunity to
very
use a
interesting
big word.
topic, Javier. We can talk about quantum computing if you
I'll
want
dive
to.
into that a little bit with the quantum computing. I don't know of another crypto with 5 mining algorithms that can change to be more adaptable to that of quantum computing for different algorithms that are being currently worked on. So I forget the association. Johnny Law might know it offhand, but where
Yeah, I
they
got it.
come up with new algorithms that are quantum resistant. However, like with Digibyte, we have not 5 mining algorithms. However, there is the ability to swap algorithms.
And it's
You're
been
talking
done,
about
right?
NIST. You're talking
It's
about
been done already. It's been
NIST.
proven.
What's that?
You're talking about NIST, and the algorithm that's quantum resistant that they've
Yes,
created is called crystals to lithium. And we could
correct.
swap one of the algorithms in Digibyte for a crystals to lithium algorithm, and we could make
Right,
it quantum resilient.
and also to maybe give some other people a little heads up that they're not going to be changing any algorithms anytime soon. 8.22 has to be released first. A few other things, Rosetta, a few other things coming after that as well. So, there are a few things already in line to go. The day, however, when that becomes a thing, or say if ASICs get, it's no longer ASIC resistant and ASICs can just take over whichever algorithm, again, if they do, you can, by controlling one algorithm, you only get 20% of the mining of the block reward, and with real-time adjustment every 15 seconds. And to someone else, I was on their show the other day, they were looking at Bitcoin Cash, looking at the difficulty adjustment. It's like, yeah, where did that come from?
I actually, last year I ran a test on that 15 seconds. It's actually more closer to 7.
But that technology came from basically Digibyte's own Satoshi.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
so it was, again, just a gift to the world.
Yeah, it's a weird project. It's a beautiful project, and that's the great thing of UTXOs. But it's
Well,
it's like
it comes back into computer science, and how can we better determine what is going to how can we improve that's the focus. How can we improve the current blockchain, not just Digibyte but even others? So how can, and that's just it. It's the advancement of computer science.
sure, that's the
Mean,
software
that's
part of
it.
it. That's the
Exactly.
software part of it. But if you look at quantum computing and you got the hardware part of it, and you combine the two,
Well, again, with the hardware issue, everyone in Bitcoin says the hash rate. Look, I totally understand it. The thing that you need to measure crypto by is not the hash rate. You need to measure it by the throughput of the hash rate. If you throw any kind of hash of Bitcoin, if there ever does become an issue in the future towards Litecoin or towards Digibyte, it will not only consume it, it'll outperform it drastically. Measure crypto by the throughput, not by the dollar.
Can you explain that in a little easier terms, or
well,
for
the
not only
throughput,
me but the audience?
the throughput is what he means is the number of guesses each computer makes per second to solve for the hash on a blockchain network. And since the
Thank you.
difficulty will be slightly easier for other blockchains like Digibyte or Litecoin, of course, what Dave's argument is that if they would switch that hash to other blockchains, they would have potentially at the start a better return of investment. And I see Johnny nodding with his head in a no, or shaking with his head, I think. Did I say this wrong?
Let's hear it.
No, you didn't. You're on it, man. I'm sorry.
No, all right. Yeah, fair enough. It's late for me. It's 1 o'clock. So I thought,
Thank you.
might be the scotch, might be the hash joint that I had 4 hours prior. Don't know. Could be. I think I'm still sober on this issue though, but I'm gonna pour myself another scotch with that.
Hey, that
Hey,
makes you
what you
smarter.
drinking,
The
Steak?
steak.
What kind of scotch?
I'm drinking a 15-year-old Del
No.
Quinny. It's a scotch from the Highlands, and it's very soft on the throat.
Yeah,
It's almost a girly drink now.
it's all right.
Johnny, you were talking before this.
Sure.
I'm not going to let you off the hook. Please give us your what you were saying, because I read everything you post, and so I'm there, and I want to hear more from you.
Yeah, I would just say that there's been a game going on for a while now, and although stacking fiat can buy you a life of comfort and in this moment sort of satisfaction, and I think there's a lot of people playing that game, right? But I think there are people playing a different game, and those people, especially a lot of the larger exchanges right now, have kind of switched their game a little bit and now work with nation states and large institutions to stack coins on the side while not impacting price. Um, even some of the trusted tools, like say Glassnode and Coinmetrics, as they track exchange balances, they're tracking exchange balances that they've been told about for the most part, right? They're tracking something that has like a historical, transaction withdrawal history, that sort of stuff. But they're not looking at some of what I've seen on chain, which is to say some systematic um, washing of coins through hot wallets into new addresses in these events that aren't associated with price. They're not associated with volume, other than the volume of coins leaving an exchange. And so it's been interesting to watch as I go back and look at history, both for Litecoin, for even some in Doge, especially for Bitcoin and Digibyte. They are stacking wallets full of these coins that aren't no longer necessarily connected to their exchange addresses, and they're doing it in a way that I can reasonably say I'd go 75% is a spoofed retail withdrawal, but is not actually a retail withdrawal. And you can go look at some of those Bitcoin addresses and see where the exact same amount was pulled off, 22 times in the span of a day and a half from one specific exchange, and it sat there for 4 years. And then 6 months later, there's another event exactly like it. Somebody saying something?
No,
Lost
I
audio
think
again.
that maybe you, Dave.
What I was going to say is, in Binance's case, a lot of times there's this interesting movement of consolidation during the price moves of coins, whether that's up or down. Binance was just buying the coins off the market. You saw Binance here in the last few days of Binance US would buy anything that you would sell them from these 9 projects. They would just buy it cash US, no record of it, whatever. So you could take as much Digibyte as you want and dump it, and Binance would buy every bit of it at market price, always, right? They were doing the same thing with Litecoin. They were doing the same thing with Bitcoin. They were also facilitating peer-to-peer purchases, OTC trades inside their own exchange, right? So you could be buying Bitcoin, Digibyte, Litecoin peer-to-peer, where none of that would hit the market reporting either, right? So there was all of these games being played, and it's about coins. It's not about fiat. It's about who controls and has access to those coins, and so it's a lot longer game than perhaps any of us recognized at least 4 years ago. And so I think they're doing so in coordination, not just with each other, but with nation states and institutions.
I fully agree. And the funny thing is, I can back up your story not with on-chain activity, but from a legal side as well, and also from project sides that are working on it. I've been going down that rabbit hole for a very, very long and deep time, and I almost got the picture clear. So I'm going to blow that out there sometime. It's probably going to be 2.5 years of work that I'm going to pump in there. But I think that the gist of it is I think that there is a transatlantic digital infrastructure being built, both on a hardware and a software level, to support this interoperability. You know, it's not really far-fetched, but if you look at what projects are in it and what companies are building what, then you see that every single company is building a piece of that. You know, call it that they're all, no pun intended, they're all laying a brick and they're building a house. Maybe a house of shit, maybe a house of bricks. I don't know, but that's what they're trying to do. And if you look at what they're all building, it kind of makes sense. You know, it ties in what we've all been saying with CBDCs, wallets from the government, digital identity,
And it,
e-signatures, your driver's license, your birth certificate, your health
yep.
files, etc. Sorry, John, go ahead.
No, I think you're spot on. I think that is certainly a part of it, and I think it's becoming clearer for everyone to see. I think ultimately, somebody said earlier, they're like the $30,000 Bitcoin. Like, I think that's like the clearest signal that the market is captured. It's not lining up with on-chain activity. You see continued sort of withdrawals coming from these exchanges, and but the amount of coins actually moving around on chain just gets smaller and smaller as a portion or of the coins are actually about spot
The
trade.
price is heavily suppressed.
Majority are about derivatives capture.
Wouldn't you agree that the price is
What's
being
that?
suppressed? The price is being suppressed. Can you hear me?
No.
Um,
He says that
Can you hear me?
he
I'm
feels
losing
the
audio
price is
again.
being suppressed.
I'm under attack. No, I'm kidding.
You may not hear me. I don't think it's being suppressed at
Oh,
all.
you
I
can hear
think
me,
they
Javier?
know.
Okay.
I can't hear you. I couldn't
You can or
hear
can't?
Johnny, but I could hear you.
Oh, all right.
I
Fair enough.
can't.
Thanks.
I don't believe it's being suppressed. I believe that they are willing to pay more. If you know, put it this way: if any of us know that in the future, why do we buy precious metals? Why do we buy anything? Because we think some of us buy it for a hedge, but we think that it's going up. It's going to keep up with that inflation. So if in the future, ridiculous numbers, but say it doesn't go up to, I don't know what they were talking about. What they say, Dave? Somebody said it was going $20,000 XRP. Let's get away from that, but let's go
No,
into
I
something
don't buy that.
realistic of Bitcoin going up to 500,000. It right now it's at 29, almost 30,000. Why not buy it at 32? Why not? You know why? Because there's nobody selling it. You
Can
got
you
to get
imagine?
and
Can you imagine what would happen with the price of Litecoin or Digibyte? And after regulation hits and the shitcoins left the market, you have actually proper fundamentals being rewarded. What that would do with the price of those
yeah,
assets, you know,
I could see
it's
that
mind
then.
blowing.
I could see it then, but I can't see it now because of the value of that the dollar is putting the value on the coin, and as we are seeing, and Clint brings it up all the time, and maybe he could elaborate on it. You can't come up and go, we're going to print X amount of dollars, and still the price of not only Bitcoin and a ridiculous price. There's got to be something's got to even the playing field. We know it's not oil. We know it's not metals. Maybe it's this stuff that you brought up the other day with uh, minerals. Maybe it's that, but something's got to go up for the
What do you
what?
think,
And
Clint?
maybe they're minerals. I don't know. Clint,
What
give
would,
us something.
Well, I mean, the way I look at it as it's pretty clear that there are some big players in the know that have money, that have control of the systems, and they're taking the coins and taking possession of them. And my question is, why aren't you? I mean, that's really what it comes down
Yeah.
to. I mean, it's math, man. When you got 21 million, we know there's not 21 million Bitcoin. When there's 84 million potential Litecoin that's going to exist, I mean, and we know a lot have been lost. I mean, the numbers game alone, if these people are accumulating it and playing all these games to take it off the exchange and hide it in wallets, off, the books, so to speak. Why aren't we doing that? But see, that's the psychological game they play right now. Oh my gosh, it's only 30,000. It's not moving. It's dead. And they're not excited. But I guarantee you when it goes to 40, everybody's going, oh, I need to get some. Oh, and it's just this psychological game they play. And I mean, it's like you said, it's a long game. And I think they can't, like you said, Javier, they can't just print the money and go buy it. They can't just go buy an asset by printing money because there's only so much to go around. So they have to, mind screw you a little bit and make you think, I don't know if it's going to go anywhere. My time frame's 2 years. I can't wait 10 years, and that's what they do. But meanwhile, you got to look at what they're doing, right, Dave? They're taking possession. They're taking them off the exchange. They're putting them in their possession. You've got an opportunity now to do the same thing. If you're awake, if you're not awake, eventually you're going to get it, but you're going to go through a whole controlled gateway system to where you might get 10 digibyte a week. I mean, seriously, because they're going to control everything, and you're going to have to go through them to get it, or you're going to have to come to one of us, and we're going to say that price ain't real.
Yes.
That mother effing price ain't real.
Is that the new cash? Will that be the new cash? Dave says that there'll be a time you were either in this game or you weren't. But you know what, Clint? Now that you say the new cash, because you know what, I'm willing to take your. I'm willing to give you some digibyte for that, but it'll be at a price with a premium, because are they closing down the exchanges to where they only control the paper so that the physical becomes the new gold? And I'm just
you're right.
hearing all this.
But listen, I mean, look at Venmo. I mean, I got relatives that call me when Bitcoin Cash, when my sister-in-law calls me and says, Bitcoin Cash, what's that about? Because she opens her Venmo and she sees it pumping a few weeks ago. And she's like, should I get some of it? And I said, hey, man, you got to do your own research. I said, it's pumped. I don't know if you want to be buying it now, but see, that's what they do. They get you, and do this. But the thing is, if she did buy it, will she ever take it off into her own wallet? No. She's going to sit there, and that's what most people are going to do. They're going to see it just like your whatever you want to call it, your new FedNow wallets or your new CBDC wallets that governments issue. Hey, you can transfer your CBDCs or dollars, whatever you want to call them, and buy crypto, but you might not be able to take it off, or you might have limitations on how much you can take off.
Clint, they'll be very good at DCAing the tops and selling the bottoms.
Yeah.
Well, let's go with that, Clint. And is it
You're right? They will. But
I'm going to be hated.
It won't be real because
it won't be real.
Of it, but they'll be trading it like all these other exchanges, and they're holding the coins. Maybe holding the coins. We don't know. But the thing is, most people aren't going to take it out. And see, that's the key. We got to take it out and take possession, like the big boys are doing. You've got to get it and take it out. And if
you can.
Exactly, because at some point I see they're going to close it and they're going to make it difficult, because if everybody's going this way, and this is going to be the big sponge. Because
and is that such a bad idea?
No.
Let me ask you this:
is it everybody into it? It'll adopt everybody into it, and they'll be fine with it. Because
what's going to happen to our crypto?
Now it's 400, and wow, I'll transfer that back into my CBDC and go buy something off eBay or go eat.
Well, and that's what they did with us. That's what they did with us in silver. So all of a sudden they hold, and you'll be able to buy a digibyte at a premium. What's the premium on silver right now? What's the premium on gold right now? And so they'll go, if you want it, $10, but if you want it, you got to pay $20 physical, and we will send it to your wallet. You go, no, I'm going to use it today. I'm going to use my digibyte, and that's how they control the masses. If I know that I'm going to use it, I don't need a physical digibyte to go and buy a hamburger. I converted it to that. So what if it's a paper? And I'm not saying that it's a good idea. I'm just saying I'm seeing history, and everything seems to be very cyclic.
By the time that the people figure out that what we are invested in is basically like the Google or the Amazon of the .com bubble, by the time they figure that out, the game's already been played, and we are already in AI and quantum and ORAN Alliance. Telecommunication networks or whatever else, synthetic biology that's going to come around the corner. They'll just be holding the bag. You know, they'll be holding the bag, and good for them. Maybe in a pension fund, they'll be holding the bag. They'll be fine with that. But you know, maybe you're right. Maybe these videos will only be important like 5 years from now. Like, look at these guys. They actually called it. I wonder how Clint is doing these days. Well, I can tell you how it's doing 5 to 10 years from now. If the market goes where we think it's going to go, it's probably going to buy an 18 or it's, yeah, probably drinking not a 15, but an 18 or a 21-year-old scotch.
Some really nice scotch and nice cigars.
Some really nice scotch. Yeah, I'll buy you a bottle for sure. We'll go to a brewery together. How
there we
about
go. We'll go and check out the distilleries there in Scotland.
Yeah.
Well, and I see that because this is, look, the same players are playing. And Clint, we use spaces. We used to try to change the world. And with discounts and this and adoption, and I'm not saying it's not a great idea. I'm not saying that what you're doing isn't, but I'm being realistic. And some people go, oh, Javier hates crypto. I don't hate crypto. I don't hate the U.S.
You just know human nature.
But I do want to see it the way it is. Go ahead.
You just know human nature. And you know how people are going to act. And I mean, they know how people are going to act. That's why they're going to roll these things out. That's why they have to, you know, roll it into the new system and accumulate as much as they can without the retail really waking up. And that's why they have all the FUD. That's why they do all these things. But if you look at what they're doing, like Dave says, if you look at what they're doing and not what they're saying, they're accumulating this stuff. And it's not just all of it. It's certain ones especially. And they're taking possession of it because they understand how it works. They understand there's only so much. They understand that they can't just print a bunch of money and go out and buy it because you can't. It's just an impossibility mathematically because the price wouldn't be $30,000 if you had to go to an open market and buy it. It's not the way it is. You know, so they got to play these games and use the system to leverage themselves into it. And at some point, I think you wake up and you're not able to buy the Digibyte. You know, you're not able to get the Litecoin, or you might be able to get a little bit of it.
Let me ask you, Steak, is that the point where we are the suckers? You know what? Not the suckers. We are the guys that showed up. You remember the Bitcoin conventions with Lamborghinis, and because that's what sells that future generation. That's the good stuff. That's the life. You need these guys with a lot of wealth. You need people with a lot of FU money, and I hope you understand what I meant by FU money, that goes and throws it around that ain't able to stay in this game, even though the game is completely different. The ones that we saw back then were people that bought Bitcoin for under $1, under $15. And yeah, if you bought it and held on, well, why not go and treat yourself to whatever the hell you want? And I see the future heading into that way. There's always going to 4 or 5 of us that they can go, look, this guy had Bitcoin. And they may even reduce our taxes just to where we can get away with creating the new
I have an answer to your question.
What was the question? Are we the guys with the Lamborghinis? That was the question, right?
Yes, basically.
No.
And I don't mean Lamborghinis, but
I know what you're saying, Javier. I do. I get it. They got to have some people that win, you know, that do well so that they can draw in the masses.
Give it a go, Dave. Give it a go.
Yeah, Dave, you got something to say, brother.
Yeah, I've had something to say for about 10 minutes now. Okay, so you're discussing a premium on crypto, right? Ask yourself, why is there a premium? Why is there a premium on any Bitcoin that has come from Satoshi's wallet? And then ask yourself another question. How do you circumvent that against all these derivatives? If you mine the coin and it has never touched an exchange, that will be a premium in the future as well.
I agree.
That's your answer.
I agree.
So the value of money will have used as of Bitcoin that's gone through this, that has been ridden hard and put up wet. You've got other Bitcoins that have just been mined one time. In other words, there's different prices.
Javier, we can call it Virgin Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Virgin Bitcoin. Well, we have cash too that's this way. Clint was talking about it in the last show. You can go and get medical help, gas at in other words, the value of a true dollar, a true dollar bill is more valuable than a credit card dollar. Same value for most of us, but it's just worth more. The anonymity,
Okay.
is that the word? I don't know, maybe.
Okay. Another. This is another huge issue in crypto. People are still valuing it in the dollar.
Yep.
I agree.
So,
We have to, Dave.
well, currently,
don't-
yeah.
Or else
we
we
don't
can
have
put
to.
value on it.
Currently,
No, we
yes.
don't have
And
to.
go back and reread the Satoshi, the Genesis block of Satoshi. Go back and read that. It was because of what happened in 2008.
Bailouts.
Wouldn't
Yeah,
it,
the banking
wouldn't it
crisis.
be ironic? Wouldn't it be ironic, right? If there was a financial crisis like what we're all living through right now, and suddenly no Bitcoin moves, but a transaction is signed, says, "See, I told you so." Wouldn't that be something? Now Satoshi has been watching all this bullshit go on for all these years, which is why Satoshi also said that he did not want to release it. It was not ready. That's what he was saying. And I kind of agree with that because look at what Litecoin has done. Look at what Digibyte has now done. It has fixed the vulnerabilities of Bitcoin. Think about that for a moment. Especially like the 51% that used to be in China. Thank God it's no longer, right? So they could control the blocks. They could control that. They can slow down the blocks. Remember when it took like, I don't know, 3-4 days for a freaking Bitcoin transaction to go through? So
Yeah, what
you know,
will really cook your noodle?
without real-time difficulty adjustment within the mining, which is what Digibyte solved, Bitcoin has a 2-week difficulty adjustment. Litecoin even is much better than that.
A lot can happen in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
In this world.
You can shut it down and no one can move a damn thing if you control the mining of that. And that was a huge issue a couple of years ago. I don't think it's 51% anymore within China, but that was a huge issue.
Yeah.
Damn, we've gone deep.
It's true.
Well, we can go a lot deeper, Javier.
Yeah.
There's so many rabbit
Give
holes.
me the shovel, baby.
Well, you're going to keep digging for a lifetime because this whole thing is so elaborate and it ties into everything money.
And this is the kind of stuff that you're not going to get from watching the latest, greatest YouTuber. Just throwing that out there. We're here to hash it out. We're here to debate and go back and forth on all these different issues and possibilities. And it helps us. It helps us work through it, and we're here to try to help y'all work through it. Try to figure this out. But ask yourself, what other technology exists today that can scale to meet the demand of society globally?
Yeah, blockchain is the biggest innovation in finance in the last 4 centuries. And
Correct.
this whole system is just, this old legacy system is just going to innovate into this new digital infrastructure. You only have to look at the CHIPS Act. You only have to look at the infrastructure bill. You only have to look at what the G7 is talking about, the digital identity that came from the United Nations. These are big institutions. Whatever you believe, this is what they've been cooking up. Google it, read it, look at that shit. Look at it. If these players say, well, we're going to go for this, regardless of when or how, but if they're saying, well, we're going to go for this and this is what we're gonna cook upon, then you could raise the argument where you say, well, they're going to use that innovation and create their own shit, the CBDC. That's fair. But they'll always need the innovation of the free market in order to innovate further on the technology. They cannot leave it in a government's hands. It doesn't work. Government and IT is a horror story. They know it. So they have to give it to the free market. So this market isn't gonna die out, but it has to be incorporated in society. And for that, you need a legal framework. And that legal framework, which we are part of as retail investors, we say, well, it has to be fair. And so far, we see that the regulatory agencies, for example, the SEC, they don't have your back. They don't care about the little guy. They're pushing through an agenda to make sure that on an interoperable, on a global scale.
I agree, Steve.
Yeah, on a global scale, that the agenda is being pushed forward, because the whole financial system controls the world, and it's too valuable to leave it to grassroots movements. They're doing it the way they want to do it, and you can
Exactly.
be part of
Got
it.
And
many of
It's
us
going to take
tried
a
to
look.
many of
Yeah.
us tried to
go
explain
ahead.
things to a few others years ago. They completely laughed us off the stage. Now they're just trying to play catch up.
Yeah, but
That's
you
it.
got to even. And I'm going to go right back
However,
to
I
and
am,
say,
however, I am hopeful
go
because
ahead.
I think it, but I just think it takes a few decades and generations to make sure that we're moving more from a centralized system to a decentralized system. I don't want to go into a security or commodity debate because those two things are completely separate. But eventually, if we want to have a true free market, we're going to need a decentralization where there is at least amount of middlemen possible with peer-to-peer, transactions. That's the way forward. That's the way towards the future. But it could be 2 decades from now until we see the actual pinnacle of what it could become. But before that, we're definitely going to see the price with institutional investments going to put their money here because it's faster. Nostro Vostro accounts are going to come open into the economy, and it's necessary because they have no way to go. They can't raise the interest rates. They can't really print anymore. They have nowhere to go. So they need those Nostro Vostro funds to be pumped into the economy to at least save the lower and the middle class. Because we've been seeing so much social and cultural bullshit being pushed through mass media, and people being filled
Yes,
with pills and pharmaceuticals just to keep the
yes.
keep the games bred and games going and keep the people under control. But that is unsustainable. Now you got the birth rate declining with millennials not making enough money. So eventually in 2042 we won't have enough working people to pay for the pensions. That's really going to fuck things up. So it's going to happen in the next 2 decades. This transition is necessary. This innovation is here to stay. So I think
Okay.
regardless of what you invest in, you'll go upward. But I do believe in fighting the good fight and going for decentralized coins because I think that then you're actually doing something for humanity.
Yeah, and we should be doing that now, and that's the beauty of it. It's like it's right now we can do that. I mean, we've got the ability, and I keep coming back to this that we need to the small percentage that we are, and that's why education is important because I mean, it's a tough fight. I mean, it really is. It's difficult, but I mean, hey, if another person gets into crypto and takes possession of their crypto, that's one more person that's able to win in the future. And so it's important that we do that, and not everybody's going to wake up. That's just how it
But
is. Most people are just going to go with the flow. Hey, my pension, save my pension. Okay, it's now
yeah,
denominated
yeah,
in Bitcoin. Okay, well each Bitcoin's worth $1
yeah,
million,
but look,
so
look
my
who we're
pension's
running to.
okay.
Let me ask any of y'all. Y'all have a business in crypto. A not as successful one, you can hire people from the world. Here in the United States, you've got to pay them $100 an hour, but there are people that are going to make a fortune in their country making $20 or $15, and these are very highly educated people in the computer that know all about to further you and your. Who are you going to hire? The guy for $15 that knows just as much as the guy you have to pay here in the States. That's where I'm trying to say that we have to level the field because if this is what we're going into, yeah, the guy doing the construction wants a certain pace here. If the jobs are going to be coming from the crypto market, I you're going to hire the guy from India that can do it. I mean, why did hell this Mastercard? And I know it's things that people don't want to hear in the states, but why would I pay somebody to answer your phone when I can have somebody do it for a lot less until we start leveling those playing fields? What are your thoughts on that? Drop the mic.
That's a
No,
big
I'm
one.
just joking. It's no, and I don't mean to rain on the parade, but
Okay.
you can't have
Okay.
300.
Let,
Uh,
let, let's level the playing field then, right? So
okay.
United States has printed currency into oblivion for 100 years, right? Now
Mm-hmm.
other nation states are getting are are tired of it. And what happens when all those dollars come back home? When they no longer want your dollar? What happens to that dollar?
It
The
doesn't
value of that dollar goes down drastically.
No, the value
Purchasing
doesn't go
power.
down because it's still an
No.
asset, but not a liability. The problem
Yes,
is
but
No,
you
it
know
is
what
a
happens?
liability.
wait, Javier.
You-
What
Okay,
happens
go
is
ahead.
that you change hands on who holds the dollar, but it's still an asset. It's not a liability. The thing that
No, it
actually
is a
changed is that
liability.
there are less dollars in play, so the reserve currency actually weakens. So you get less percentage of dollars on the global reserve
It is a
currency.
liability.
That's
It
what's
is debt.
happening.
It is created out of debt. It is a
No, that
liability.
is but what I mean is like assets and liabilities, as on
Yeah,
like
but
on
what
the
are you going to
balance
do
sheet.
with that dollar? You're going to buy. It's what's happening now. You are going to come into the United States, assets that are for sale, which are our properties, getting into our minerals, wheat, food. Look, the system's messed up. The system is organized right now. I order something from. I'm on the east side of Florida, and I order it from the west side of Florida. Right now, it goes to Georgia, South Carolina. Then it comes to me. There's a reason for that
That's the
because some
velocity of
people
money.
need to get paid, and so
That's
it's not the quickest route. And this is what we truly have to start eliminating. Because why does that happen? Because we have certain government officials that come in here and people will break to ship. I can't believe that I could order something from China right now that costs $3, and it's here for $3 damn. That's unheard of. I don't know if I'm explaining myself correctly, but it doesn't make sense for what I am receiving when I order. It may, but how the hell did you get it over here for that cheap? And yes, the shipping containers, and I had to wait, and there'll be a time where it's just not worth ordering it from us.
correct.
Why?
Right
Because it's
now,
too expensive, even if it breaks 3 times.
because right
Go
now
ahead.
they are still accepting your dollar for goods. When they no longer accept your dollar for goods, what is your dollar worth? So
Well,
yes, I see a mad dash in the crypto in the future. When there is another issue. Again,
well,
look at, I'll reference Satoshi in the Genesis block. Go read the Genesis block over again, and that it was caused as a direct result of 2008 shenanigans. So we, the individual,
Well,
can protect our own wealth.
I lost you a little bit there, Dave.
well, then we will be evening out the playing field. Is what I'm trying to say. That we can't have it continuously go. USA, we're making a hamburger flipper making $50 an hour. You can't do that. You can't do that while a person
No,
in
Javier,
India is making.
what you're describing is that what we're seeing right now is not just a bubble in the housing market or in the dot-com bubble, but we're seeing a bubble in the entire economy.
Everything, yeah,
We're seeing an everything bubble. And that everything bubble, yeah, that will be disastrous. It will be the end of a long-term debt cycle, like an 80-year long debt cycle. And it's an opportunity for generational wealth. So it just depends on where you position yourself. And the problem that I experience with people outside of this field, there's not many people I can talk to about this kind of shit because not many people are plugged into it. And I can't blame them, but they just don't really, they don't get it or they don't care. And they just, they have a difficulty understanding where it's going. And I get it, I understand it, but it is, I think it is up to the people that are in this, in this space to at least try to do the right things. And for me, again, that's just the proof of work UTXO. I think
and
that's the
and
actual fundamentals that are valuable. And
and
we can bicker
also
and argue over Bitcoin or Litecoin or Digibyte. I'd love to do that someday, but I don't. I think we're all in the same boat. Actually, Bitcoin might not like that. Bitcoin maximalists might not like that. That it's the same boat, but I do think it's like that. And even more so than an Ethereum or an XRP. But I'm not married to my bags, but I do believe in the good fight. I do believe in decentralization. I think that's the root cause of the corruption.
And also to add to that, do you remember back during when everyone got a stimulus check? You know, if you say stimulus or steal from us fast enough, it sounds like you're saying stimulus. So
I thought you guys called it.
When I got my
Dave,
first steal from us check, when I got my
didn't you
first
guys
steal from
call
us
it
check-
socialism?
Hold on. Let me land my plane this time, okay?
Sure.
So when
All right. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr.
When we got
Dave.
our first steal from us check, you remember it was like $2,000, right? Do you know how much it cost for that $2,000 after it went through legislation? It cost
1.4 trillion?
Each taxpayer is on the hook for $15,000. That's how much your $2,000
Really?
steal from us check was worth. They printed into existence 15,000. You got $2,000 out the deal. That's it. So yes, I see when the inflation does come back to the United States and people don't know what they're doing, what's going on. How do I get into crypto? I think that's how do I store my value, right? Because you can store value in metals to transfer from one financial or from one monetary system into the next. And now, same thing with crypto. You can save your value in crypto from one monetary system into the next. Why do you think that they're all involved in this right now? There's a bigger agenda at hand.
They need the liquidity, Dave. They need the liquidity. That's the deepest liquidity pool.
And to your point, Steak, you are 100% correct. The very last financial instrument that was created was the bond in the 1600s. And now they are just figuring out what all crypto can do. And they're realizing that this is a total different asset class. Total different instrument.
I agree. I fully agree.
It can soak up all those
plane
excesses.
is landed. My plane is landed. So
You're right.
You're
right, Clint.
Yeah, but
maybe we should go to the end of this.
If Digibyte's $100 a coin, look how much that sucks up in the old system. I mean, look how that funds pensions at that point, you know, if they're denominated in Digibyte now. Now, you didn't gain anything. It's just that you could have bought Digibyte at under a penny with that pension, but now it's $100. Well, my pension's still whole because it's denominated in whatever crypto, but you really didn't gain any purchasing power. You know, you're kind of feeding at the trough at that point, you know, getting the scraps when you can front run it and realize that it's going there. And see, that's the big thing that, I mean, this is a fundamental thing that we understand, but a lot of people don't understand this, that this is the transition and how to pull that old system and basically recapitalize it, because crypto's an unlimited sponge. I mean, it can go as high as you need it to go to take care of these assets that are underwater. All the quadrillion in derivatives, everything, it can soak it all up. And the thing is, it's an honest system. So once it goes into that, I mean,
but it isn't, Clint.
What's that?
But it isn't because
well, the true coins are.
If we have a derivative market of it,
right? That's why you gotta have the coins.
That's the frustrating part.
Yeah, that's why you gotta have
the system truly does work, but we also have to. It has to make sense, because I understand there being a derivative market, but with the actual coins, to where there is, for there to be risk, there has to be reward, or else I only keep mine and it keeps going up and up and up because there's too few of coins out there. But that's where I'm trying to figure out where, okay, I'm willing to put, there was a time, maybe y'all are all as old as I am, where we used to get 15% interest in a CD.
Oh, yeah.
It was an honest system, and we used to get it, and it was worth tying my money up there. I'm willing to tie my cryptos out there to people, but I have to have the reward, and I have to have the insurance that I'm not risking. It's not I'm not putting it at FXT. Is that what the banks are built? And you're guaranteeing that my cryptos are in there, and you're giving me 17%? Well, not because they're charging 30% on credit cards and 15%, and whatever the hell they want.
Well, that
The
was my
field
issue.
isn't level.
That was my issue back in 2019. I remember telling Brother David at the World CryptoCon in Las Vegas. I said, all of this with the Celsius and all this other stuff, and these other exchanges wanting to pay yield on holding your crypto there. The first thing is how do you derive yield from an asset which is not yield bearing, like Bitcoin,
Well,
Litecoin, Digibyte?
Paper Bitcoin,
Okay.
baby.
Correct. Well, and the other thing is I was kind of laughed at that time, and people told me, "Well, you just don't understand. There's a loan," and I'm like, "Okay, well, is it backed by backed by anything within crypto? No, it was not.
No, you give them your
just
crypto and they give you cash, but you
Right.
give them an exorbitant over collateralized position.
Yeah.
It's now gone.
It's
Well,
backed by your
you-
KYC.
And also, okay, if
Well,
you have,
yeah, but
if you
where's
have
the
a 10
KYC on the banks? Who's got? Put it this way: I'm willing to play your game.
Go
I
ahead,
want to
Dave.
see. I want it to be. I want it to be as visible as my accounting is, because I want to know that the banks have. If they say they have
Javier.
100 Bitcoin, I want to know that they have. Not that they have
No, I agree.
3,000 Bitcoins and are loaning them out, and then they go, well, we need more Bitcoin. Let's do it instead of 10 to 1. Now they're going 100 to 1. We're back in the same thing where we are with silver right now, where JP Morgan's putting it out there at what is it, 300, 400, 500 to 1?
But
You can't
know what
do that.
changes? You know what
The
changes
price.
though? If everybody took possession of that silver, it would change right now. But they
But
don't.
the game stops there. You
But they
can't
don't do it.
No. Well, you know who makes money, Clint? The people doing the exchanging of the silver.
Sure.
They're the
just
ones
transferring-
they're buying the silver at spot and they're selling it at a premium. And you know what? There's very few of those people. And so
Well,
to
and
me,
an
I want to
exchange-
play the game. Do
an
it within
exchange
each other.
An
Dave and I
exchange
talked
works
about
the
it.
same way. An exchange works the same way. Okay, so I'll take y'all back to 1997. I began trading equities in 95. Okay, so when I do an option trade on a commodity and I don't have the funds to back it because I used leverage or derivatives, right? So then I get a margin call, right? So if you use leverage in such a way, you're going to be destroyed because the exchanges, just like brokerage houses, they can see both sides of that trade. They can see the puts and the calls, and they can see your limit buy and your limit sell, and they're going to go in and change the market and maneuver that market to wipe you out. Okay, so let's say that the asset that you wanted to buy was, say, gold at $1,000. You wanted to buy a contract at $1,000, and you had the expectations of that asset going up in value. However, they saw your limit buy or your limit buy at $1,000, or I'm sorry, limit sell, and then they moved the market the opposite direction and wipe you and everyone else out. They will move the market to the downside and to the upside.
Agreed.
So-
Agreed, Dave. Now let me tell you. And
Go ahead.
the only thing that I agree 110% with you. The only thing is, we should be able to break there like we did it on GameStop. And what did they do? They stopped the market. No. I want,
Javier.
as we can lose our ass completely, I want them to be able to lose
That is
their
when
ass.
Javier.
If
FTX
not,
goes belly up. That is
Javier,
when
you can't-
FTX and
Yes, sir.
others go belly up. You're right.
I want belly up. Go ahead.
Right. Well,
Steve.
then withdraw your coins from the exchange, and they will.
I do.
Yep.
And
Take
that's
possession.
That's the only way to
and
fix
that's where. Now go ahead, State.
Well-
Go ahead and give me a good reaming.
Well,
No, I'm all ears.
Here's another angle to that. So we all know that the problem is self-custody. Some people do it, many people don't do it. And the more people that go into this space, the more people that won't do it. Because the tech-savvy people that discovered this shit, they're already in it. And maybe once in a while, someone will come along that has a gist for it, that's into it. But that pool of people will become smaller and smaller, and the amount of IT illiterate people that will come into this place will be bigger and bigger. So the quality of the conversation will go down as time increases in this space. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter, but it's just a fact that's going to happen. So it's fair to say that many people want the comfort of not having self-custody and having their coins on an exchange. So the only way to tackle that is actually have regulatory clarity on a state level that has, for example, as you have in Wyoming, it's the only state in the US that has this with speedy banks that have a full one-to-one backing of the custody. It's a custodial bank. They have a full one-on-one backing, and they own the keys to the wallets. They have to show that, and that's one way of tackling this issue. The problem with that is that it's a brilliant grassroots solution to solving this issue. It's from a law perspective, it's there. From a business model perspective, it's there. For example, it's Caitlin Long of ARC, for example, that I talk about, and she filed to be certificate as a bank to operate. She doesn't get it. She doesn't get it. She doesn't get it. And now with FedNow, all of a sudden, all sorts of banks are getting it. Even a non-American bank, a European bank, Adyen that I talked about, got it. And she rightfully is pissed off at it. So it just shows how rigged the system is. That's not the situation that they want. They don't want self-custody. They don't want people doing it. So either we're going to educate people from the people, but we shouldn't be betting on the state or on corporations on doing it, because they're not going to do it unless someone comes along and signs a bill into place. Unless maybe like a Kennedy said, I'm going to make a Bitcoin like maybe a legal tender. I don't know if it's just a way to get votes, could be, but that sort of thing could move along. But up until then, at least for the next 2 years, at least this mini bull run and maybe the next bull run as well, I think the same market makers are going to shake up the tree, and maybe they'll play a little bit nicer because some legislation is mandatory. They have to. But I think they're still going to have their tricks up their sleeves.
I disagree with you. I disagree with you, and this is why. I don't even know how you said it.
What part do you disagree with?
Right at the very beginning, when you said you believe this is the problem, I believe that the problem is derivatives and will always be the problem, because as long as they control the politicians that control the laws that go into this derivative market, same boat. We're in the same boat to where here I can sell my coin for spot price to somebody that's going to resell it because they're in a group to where they can sell it for more. We need to educate the people, but we need to educate that this is the problem. And there has to be a certain number. Okay, you're going to sell it derivatives 10 times, but you can't go 500 times. I can't have something and sell it to 500 different people because only one person's going to get it. That's what's happened with silver.
So can we agree then that neither will that market go away in the next 2 years, most probably, nor will most probably 100% of retail have self-custody? So what are we up against? Learning
the game. Learning the game and feeling ourselves out.
For everyone listening, have self-custody. Look at wallets. Look at certain things that you can do in order to make sure that you're secure. I think that's the right play to have. You could look at like a Ninchuk. You could look at like a Cold Card wallet, Sparrow, those type of things. For those listening, I think that combination is pretty useful for your Bitcoin. And you can teach people, you can mention it to cold storage things, but at the end of the day, I think it's a bit naive to think that eventually everyone will do it. So where does that leave us?
They won't. And you're right. I mean, regulation, it would be so wonderful if we had like legitimate banks, whether it be state banks, national banks, whatever it is, to where they're completely regulated and they have to do it one for one. Like these ETFs coming out, I don't want some rehypothecated ETF. It better be one for one and audited and very transparent, or else what's the point in even having it? Because that's the whole game we played in silver. I mean, so the thing is, though, I'm the type of person, even though if it's highly regulated, and most people are going to be fine with it, and they may be okay, they may not be okay. Banks are highly regulated. People lose their butt all the time in banks, is what it is, because that's just the system.
And what are their consequences?
Human beings, right, they get a slap on the wrist, they can print it. If we're in a situation to where everything's 1-to-1 and they can't print it, well, then the value of that asset, like if you're on a gold standard, for instance, there's only so much gold. And if it's got to be backed, a $20 bill, it used to be, was an ounce of gold, I mean, you got to have the gold, and it's got to be audited. Those are kind of things that should be done. But see what they did? They pulled us away from that. No, let's do this. No, we're going to do this and do this. And see, the same thing will happen in this game, I think, just because of human nature and the corruption of people wanting to control the money. So it might work for a time, but I think it gets corrupt just because of human nature. And so that brings us back to take control of your assets, because we've never had a time in history where we can easily take, and might not think it's easy, but it's pretty hard to take possession of silver and carry it around, move it around, and pay with it. We've never had such liquid, easy to use money peer to peer across the world like we do right now with these solid cryptocurrencies. Let's start taking possession of them and maybe trying to use them. And that's really kind of the answer. But a better regulatory system,
and hold them accountable
for it. They need to be accountable because it's our money, it's our energy.
Thank you. Let's hold them accountable. Let's make sure that we could see their books. Put it this way: if we
should be able to,
they can see my books anytime they want. I want to see them. I'm willing to show mine if everybody else is willing to show theirs, including the banks. And I know that there is leverage. I know there is risk. I will. And so
the problem,
I want them.
But I'm being dead serious. That's the problem. Like, who starts, right? It's
here.
So that's
why. Put it this way. I don't want the people that don't go to jail. Bernie Madoff. You put up these clowns. You put up FXT that didn't go. So if I don't see a consequence to the action, what is it? For every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. If I don't see that that they don't go to jail, then I know that the game is rigged, and I know that it really doesn't matter until there is more regulation.
I think many people, the vast majority of people in the West, not just in the US, know that the game is rigged. They just are too busy with real life they don't want to think about it. They don't want to think about going there with their mind and saying, is everything fucked up and is everything a charade? Am I really being fucked in the ass every time?
Nobody wants to be
They don't want to think about
me.
They don't want to think about it. So you are. And the question is, maybe that's a great slogan, right? Want to be fucked less in the ass? Have a cold storage. It's maybe.
Start
spin on it.
Either that or start your own show, Javier.
Shove it. Yeah, fuck yourself. Shove it.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
What I'm trying
up there
to
where
do
the
is
sun
bring
doesn't
awareness.
shine.
I'm trying to bring awareness and not a kumbaya moment. And what I have is a little bit of history and a lot of sarcasm. That's my girl. It's kept me safe. I go to the net. I don't believe in kumbaya moments. I don't believe anybody's out there to go, I'm here to help. There is a small group of people that is helping each other. I love this group. I've never felt so close to a group as I have with the cryptocurrency group. But outside that, I don't feel that, because my day's always up. Because I'm like, when someone comes up and goes, look, I'm going to give you $1 million, or Buffett, or any of these guys that are on, they're wanting, Michael Saylor wants to help me. When has a billionaire ever come up and said, look, I want to help you make more money? I'm going to give you a lot of advice. That Mark Cuban, I don't trust it. To me, it's an instant defense mechanism to where I go, why does this billionaire want me to make as much money or more than him so he can come mow my lawn?
Javier,
yes, sir.
You have to look at things from their eyes too. They realize that if society goes to shit, that they're the end of the pitchfork.
That's true. You know what?
So-
That causes change.
So
And,
it's
and
in
I
their,
hope that do.
Yeah,
it's
now
in
it
their
went from
interest.
to the CFTC.
What was that, Dave?
I said, yeah, now it went from the SEC to the CFTC.
For
Did
sure,
someone
for
pay
sure.
Gensler a visit and say, here are your options? And I hope that, and I hope the new guy,
He said it.
I hope the new guy is better than the old guy.
Well,
Well,
I just
you
think,
know when it will be when there's a consequence to the old guy. As long as nobody goes to jail, and
I
there
wasn't
is,
talking about
as
jail.
long as there's a
Javier.
fine.
I was talking
Go ahead.
pitchforks. I was talking pitchforks. I wasn't talking
Oh.
about this dude going to jail. I was
Oh.
talking
right,
to this. I was talking about this
no one
guy
is going to jail.
going off
That
world.
no one is going to jail. The thing is that the billionaires actually need a better middle class to have more innovation, so they have more shit to buy and have a better experience in life. So it's in their best interest as well, and they don't want a situation like 1789 where there was a French the French Revolution, not industrial revolution, the French Revolution, and they invented the guillotine to get rid of the aristocracy. You know, it was a very convenient method. And they don't want that to escalate, Javier. They don't want that to escalate to go there, because that's actually detrimental for society if we go there. But as systems crash
think
and
they see
collapse
that?
because of overprinting, they have no way out, and their only way out is deep liquidity pools. And BRICS don't want to play, so the only way out that they have is digital innovation. That's why they're putting all their money in it. You know, the whole Infrastructure Act, the whole CHIPS Act, the whole AI Act. Those are the acts of the last 2 to 3 years where all the money is going, and it's all revolving around this. It's all revolving around this digital infrastructure. Every single fucking thing is revolving around it. So if you haven't been paying attention, and you're just I don't know, watching Netflix shows because life is pretty hard, and you just need to settle and sit on the couch and smoke a little bit, drink a little bit, and you can't wait till the kids go to bed. I get you, I get you. That life sucks sometimes. And then you got to clean the house, and you got to go to that fucking birthday party that you don't want to go to. But you need your social contacts, and you got your neighbor that bitch is always nagging you, let alone your mother-in-law.
And then you got
Fuck,
two air
I'm divorced now.
conditioners to replace.
No, but
So
the
what
thing
you're
is,
saying, Steak,
the thing is, people
you're
don't have a lot
saying
of
there's a
time.
chance.
No, I'm saying people don't have a lot of time in their life to make decisions on where they go, and they rather be comfortable than position themselves correctly. And the pain that you described, Javier, I think the pain is much more in saying, okay, I'm going to sacrifice some convenience and comfort on the short term now to actually delve into this shit and make some smart decisions, so that in the future, when everything probably is going to go tits up, really tits up, I'm not going to be as hurt as the masses. And especially not my kids.
Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly it. And so it's up to the individual. And we're done here. We've been 2 hours, but it's up to the individual to say, I'm going to do something about it, and I'm going to take action, or I'm not. And there's very few people that do that. I mean, because like you're saying, most people, they're just like, I got so much going on, I got too much to do, and I ain't got time to look at that. It's just too much. I can't get my head around it. It's too hard to learn. Well, it's too hard for all of us to learn at some point, but we learned it, and that's the key. You got to take the initiative at some point and say, things are screwed up. Things are really changing. This whole system that we're used to probably isn't going to be the same in 5, 10, 20 years. I plan on being around that long, so I better do something about it, because I don't want to be left out in the cold. I don't want to lose all the stuff and all the energy I put into that system. All right, time to start extracting it out and putting it into something else that I at least have control over. And you can with cryptocurrency. If you pick the right ones, I think you'll do well. And I think you're front running the whole game that these big players are putting together to transition us from the old system into the new system. Get into that new system now. And guess what? You can use that new system now. It's a peer-to-peer electronic currency that you can send without a financial institution. I mean, it's been there since 2009. Might want to look into
We got some cool comments there, keeping up with the Joneses. Yeah, and the paper Bitcoin and the laws that they have. Yeah, it's, we like the thing is, I don't think many of us in this crypto space are idiots. Far from it. I've met some of the most intellectual people that I've ever met in my life. Reasonable people, logical thinkers. And still we all come up with the same fact, like, okay, this system is rigged. Like, there's too much going on here that's bullshit. And then if you say that to a guy, average guy on the street that's not in it, they always shove you away as some kind of conspiracy nut. And yeah, as little people live our day for the greater good of humanity. I hope so. You know, we eventually have to apply ourselves to go somewhere. But you know, it's keep your eyes on the facts. Don't marry your bags. Do the right, smart thing. Have self-custody. Try to spend some time in learning new skills surrounding this space. Try to look where it's going. Don't look at it. Don't look at the price every single fucking second of the day. That's just going to drive you nuts. Buy red. Yay. Sell green. Be anxious when it's green. Be anxious because you don't know when you want to get out. That's the mindset. And have an exit plan. You know, and try to make some friends, try to have some network going on, because in 5 to 10 years from now, when you want to share these stories, it's going to be pretty lonely, and you kind of want to share them with people that actually know their shit, that actually know, yeah, I know what you've been through. Yeah, I know what you've been through. And at the end of the day, that's still real life, you know. And we all got our battles, we all got our demons to deal with, some more than others. We all got different starting points in life, but it all led us here. We all think that there's value here. We all think that there's an opportunity here. And are we all idiots? I don't think so. But it's just sometimes it's hard to see this as a reality. Like, what am I really facing? Is everything a fucking charade? Like the whole mass media, all the companies owned by the same companies. It's just being shoved down your fucking necks and throats. And it's just like, yeah, I get it. But I don't want to be a debt slave until I go to a pensioner's age. Like I'm passing for that, you know. I'm 38. I've never seen the economy grow. Like, I've never been part of that. I've only seen it decline here.
Yeah.
Ever. Like since I started working at 16, I saw it declining, and I'm probably going to see it declining until I'm 60, and then I'm going to be saying, yeah, finally some growth. Fuck that.
That's where I'm at. You know what, Steak? I agree 100%. Everything you say, I just do this to ruin your buzz. Close it.
Ruin my buzz.
Drink more.
100%. Everything you say, I just go low. How could I ruin Steak's buzz right now? And I just start shoveling it out there, just one after another. I enjoyed the show.
It's not ruining anyone's buzz. It's
No.
being thought. It's
I'm just
introducing
joking.
cognitive thought into it, and how can we survive and thrive in these times, and where do we need to be for litigation and legislation moving forward, and where do we need to be within UTXOs? That's what I think. I think we're about to go back to have a back to basics moment of crypto, so, and blockchain. So the Pepe coins, they're going to come and go. So will the BitConnects, and so will these other scams.
So
they're going to come and they're going to
Binance.
go.
Buy Binance. Buy Coinbase.
Right.
Buy Solana.
There's a lot
Buy
that's going to
Huobi, buy
happen
Tether.
in short order. I would say over the next 6 months to a year for the next bull run in 2025, a blow off top of 2025. And then I look forward to the next time that they fuck up again in CBDCs and FedNow and everything, which will be the next market cycle 4 years from now. And it's just going to be another coincidence theorist idea that everything just seems to align within the 4-year cycle yet again. So,
Such a coincidence, Dave.
yeah, coincidence theorist, right? So anyway,
When Lambo.
well, the question is not when Lambo.
How many?
The question is what will you do with it after you get it? Okay, so after Moon, then what? What will you do with it? Will you improve your life? Will you improve the life of others? Will you build something
Dave,
in blockchain?
Dave, I've got a long list of people in my private life that I'm going to call, and I'm going to say, I told you so. That's what I'm going to start with.
I'm not
I'm
saying
going to have my victory lap first.
I'm not saying
damn right.
Well, look, when they see shit on CNBC and they come to me, look, that's fine.
And I'm on live TV now anyway. And then I'm going to drive to a few people in real life and fly to them. I'm going to grill a ribeye and throw it in their face.
I had a bad boating accident. You know, it's all
Yeah,
gone.
lost
It's a
all my,
scam.
yeah,
It's a
lost all of
scam.
it.
You know, you were right. You were right. All those Thanksgivings and Christmases giving me the elbow. How's that Bitcoin working for you? You know, or Ethereum or whatever else. How's that crypto? I heard crypto was dead. It's like no.
Yeah,
You know,
sadly, I
it's
lost
like
everything in a boating accident.
well, the thing is, you know, they think they associate, you know, SBF and FTX as the entire crypto market, and they're just oblivious. I'm like, no, that's just another Bear Stearns or Lehman Brothers that just
Right.
closed.
That's just
That's
another
it.
bank.
That's it. I custody my own wealth. No one else is in control of my wealth.
Yeah, but
Just me.
exactly what you're describing right now is exactly the reason that I realize that we are not going to win that fight. It's not going to happen. That's not what you should be
I
focusing
agree.
on. Just let that play out. You
I
know, that's
agree.
just the mass media. They're brainwashed as fuck. The only thing I ask them is, how much do you like it that you have to work till you're 70 years old and won't have a pension? How much do you like that?
Right.
You know, how much do you like that prospect? I mean, you must be loving it. I don't, but you must be loving it. Like, how do you do it? Can you give
I'm
me
right
some hints?
there. Yeah,
That's the only
I'm
thing I
right there.
ask.
There's the anger that you see, and that's the frustration. I'm closer to that. I'm right around the corner from that. May look young, but no, I'm right around the corner, and so it is a frustrating. And this is the important. Clint sees it differently than Dave sees it than you that have
I
a
don't think we see it
you're
differently. I
you're
just
in a
think we
wife
have a different.
divorce. He's got
Okay, I
kids.
disagree.
I'm
I
single.
strongly disagree. I think we all say the same thing, but we come at it from a different angle of what we looked at. And we basically say, hey, I looked at silver. Guess what? Same fucking shit. And then there's someone
Yeah.
like Johnny that says, hey, I'm looking at it from the on chain activity. Guess what? Same fucking shit. And then there's Dave. It's like, yeah, I've been in there since 2014. Yeah. Guess what? Same
Dave
fucking
says
shit.
I don't see
And
it.
then you look at the legislation and what they're building. It's like, guess what? Same fucking shit. And it's like everyone that you talk to that's doing something in this industry, whether it's influencers or trying to put up a custodial bank or maybe a decentralized exchange or an exchange, like the people that you can actually trust and maybe you're buddied up with them that are building something, doesn't matter. All of them are saying, yeah, guess what? Same fucking shit. And when all of those people are saying, guess what? Same fucking shit, there's like, oh, really? Can you show me something? And then you get these little pieces of one big puzzle, and you're like, oh, yeah, guess what? Same fucking shit. No, huh? And it points to the same thing. It points to the Federal Reserve. It points to printing money or raising interest rates. It points to the macroeconomics that they fucked up. They printed too much too quickly. And now they put on, since 2008, they put on like a 0% interest rate. The whole economy adjusted to it. And all of a sudden, it's like a car driving 120 miles, 100, 200 miles an hour, and all of a sudden they step on the brake and they raise the interest rates, and you can't adjust quick enough. So you have to step on the brake, and what happens? Your face goes into the fucking windshield, and yeah, that's what happened, Dave. Your face goes into the fucking windshield, and it's like, oh my God, we just stopped the interest rate. What the fuck happened? And they're like, yeah, we're gonna go 200 miles an hour again. We're gonna go print here. We're gonna go to 0% again. And then it's like, oh, we're going to stop again, and we're going to drive again, and we're going to stop again. And that's the thing that's happening with that economy right now. It's like an Arcadian, it's like going back and forth and back and forth. And the economy itself doesn't have enough time to adjust to it. Companies don't have enough time to adjust to it. Like, what's the right policy? What do I do right now? And it's like they're shuffling the tree, and everyone is falling out of it left and right. And it's just, I know it's a mess in the US, but it's even worse everywhere else. It just has yet to sink in. It just has yet to sink in because the employment is still up. But once we see the dominoes fall with the big Silicon Valley companies that are already laying off tens of thousands of people, they were the first ones 6 months ago. And you're going to see more of that because there's no market that buys the product. It's the bullwhip effect that goes through the market right now. And that's just going to increase more and more and more. And that's going to bite us in the ass, maybe in 2024, before we're going to have the next bull market. But I really think we're going to have a mini bull market now and a really, really bad time in 2024. I think that's where the big shit is gonna hit the fan. And then in 2025, if you've been through that, you're probably gonna, buy a bunch of Lambos, Javier. Can buy a bunch of them.
Damn. Okay. Steak said it. Next, a double flusher. The big shit. It's coming. Double flush. Once, twice to get all that shit out of there.
Well, if it's the
I think this
entire
has been a great
economy,
show. I learned a lot, Steak, from you. And no, I mean it with all sincerity. I reached to you for different people. I reached to Clint at his shows and what he says at different times. And it's all together makes me so angry and frustrated and wanting more. But for my part, guys, this has been another great session of hashing it out, my brothers. And I truly see y'all as my brothers.
Same here.
Closing
here.
words. 2 hours, 15 minutes. Closing words. Go.
I got none, man. I gave it all.
Clint.
Take possession of your coins. You know what's coming. It's happening. Take possession. You can leave your money in the bank and it goes under, and they'll bail you out. Maybe at some point they won't bail you out. You can't print more crypto. You can print more dollars to bail you out, but you can't print more crypto. There's only so much out there. Take possession of it. Get a piece of that pie, that finite pie. At least you got a piece of pie. Not everybody's going to get one. Pie's good.
Watch this in 5 years. It'll make total sense.
All right, guys. I really enjoyed this evening. I want to thank all of y'all for showing up, and I want to thank all the viewers. Like, share, subscribe, all the buttons you like to click and whatnot. Get it out there. We're open to any questions and comments, so post them away, and we'll be with you shortly on that. So anyway, look, I my closing words. I've been sitting here in the heat, in the humidity, no air conditioning, to be here with y'all because I love this. Crypto is my life. This is the only profitable hobby that I have ever had, and I would like to share some of the findings that we have come across with others, and to urge all of you to get involved in some sort of way. At least ask questions. We'll try to steer you in the right direction. We're not going to do it for you, but we'll steer you in the right direction. Again, I want to thank everyone for tuning in, stopping by, and y'all go make it a day. Love you all.